Welcome to this explainer. Today, we get to play detective and solve a seriously frustrating mystery, hitting a sudden weight loss wall on a plant-based diet. You know exactly the feeling I'm talking about, right? You're doing everything perfectly, you're loading up on whole foods, prioritizing your plants, tracking your intake, and then, completely out of nowhere, you just hit a total brick wall.
So, you're doing all the right things, but suddenly you're staring down this infuriating question. Why did the scale stop moving? The lifestyle that was supposed to make you feel absolutely amazing is suddenly feeling, well, a whole lot harder to sustain. It's like your body just decided to slam on the brakes out of nowhere. And worse, it usually comes with a few really annoying side effects.
First off, you might experience this totally baffling spike in your appetite. I'm talking about that intense staring down the pantry level of hunger. Naturally, most of us just assume that an increase in hunger means we need to eat more calories. But here's the thing. When you switch to a diet that's super high in fiber and low in calorie density, the signals your body sends you can get completely crossed.
And to make matters worse, right alongside that hunger, your energy just completely crashes. You feel sluggish, maybe a bit fatigued, and suddenly your healthy, active routine feels practically impossible to keep up with. It's so disheartening, you know? You're eating all these objectively amazing foods, but you feel like you're running on fumes.
Finally, those unrelenting snack urges hit, and you just can't seem to stop thinking about food. But listen, here is the secret we're going to unpack today. This stall, it is not a failure of your willpower. No way. It's actually a physiological mystery waiting to be solved. For so many people on a whole food plant-based diet, the real culprit is actually hydration and electrolyte imbalance.
Let's start with our first section and our first major clue, fiber's hidden water demand. So our first major suspect is the massive, sudden increase in your daily fiber intake. When you start eating loads of beans, oats, potatoes, and whole grains, you are doing absolute wonders for your gut. But here's the catch. Fiber acts exactly like a sponge. It demands water. And without enough hydration, all those amazing healthy foods just create a literal digestive traffic jam. That leads to constipation, bloating, sluggish digestion, stomach discomfort, and ironically, increased feelings of hunger.
This is a crucial point to understand. Your brain actually misinterprets that sluggish digestive discomfort as a signal to eat more food. Your digestion slows to a crawl, leaving you feeling unsatisfied and just kind of gross. And how do we usually fix an empty, uncomfortable feeling in our stomach? We eat, when in reality, all you literally need is a big glass of water to get that fiber moving.
Which brings us to section 2, the red herring, the glycogen-water shift.
Now, this is the trickster that makes so many people panic and just abandon their healthy habits entirely, because they think they're suddenly gaining the fat back. When you naturally lower your calorie density on this diet, your glycogen stores fluctuate. Glycogen is just stored carbs. But the kicker, every single gram of glycogen is stored in your body alongside several grams of water. So when those stores drop early on, they take heavy water weight right along with them.
This right here is why stepping on the scale can make you want to pull your hair out. Your weight can jump overnight just from a small shift in carbs, a little bump in sodium, a really intense workout, or even just being stressed out. But remember, fluid shifts are not fat gain. Normal daily fluctuations are a completely different biological process from true fat accumulation. So if the scale randomly bumps up 3 pounds overnight, it is lying to you. It's fluid, not fat. Let's move on to section 3 to find our missing accomplices, electrolytes and stress. Okay, so if you aren't actually gaining fat, what on earth is driving those intense cravings? If it isn't true hunger, what is it? Well, plant-based diets are incredibly rich in potassium and magnesium, which is awesome. But when you drop processed foods entirely, your sodium levels can just plummet, especially if you work out a lot or drink a ton of plain water. This triggers massive systemic warning alarms. We're talking fatigue, headaches, brain fog, muscle weakness, dizziness, and intense snack urges. Your body is practically screaming because it lacks the basic minerals it needs for nerve signaling and energy.
And it gets worse because even mild dehydration or mineral depletion acts as a physical stressor on your body. Your system senses the lack of water, which spikes your main stress hormone, cortisol. And what does elevated cortisol do? It directly triggers intense cravings for calorie-dense foods. Boom, your weight loss stalls. It's this vicious hormone-driven cycle of emotional eating, all kicked off by just needing a bit of water and salt.
This is where the ultimate confusion happens. The signals for thirst and hunger overlap in your brain in a huge way. You might think you're having a desperate sugar craving when you actually just need hydration.
You might mistake electrolyte depletion for an urge to hit the snack drawer. Or you might feel like you have constant true hunger when it's really just stress dehydration. Your body's thirst and stress are quite literally wearing the masks of hunger and sugar cravings.
And to add a little insult to injury, we run into the water retention paradox. Ironically, restricting your water intake or missing those key electrolytes actually causes your body to aggressively hoard whatever water it has left. Hard workouts, sweating, or even digestive distress tell your body it needs to conserve fluid at all costs. This leaves you feeling puffy, bloated, and heavier on the scale, frustrated that nothing is moving, even though your actual body fat hasn't increased one bit.
So how do we fix this? That brings us to Section 4, the resolution and the hydration audit checklist.
We've established it's not a lack of willpower, and it's probably not a lack of calories. Let's break the cycle by doing a quick personal hydration audit. Check your physical signs, things like dark yellow urine, a dry mouth, muscle cramps, or dizziness. But don't ignore the metabolic clues either. If you're constantly craving salt, crashing and feeling tired right after you eat, suffering through low-energy workouts, or fighting persistent snack urges when you know you've eaten enough, you're almost certainly underhydrated, not underfed.
So, before you throw in the towel, assume your diet has failed and give up on your whole food goals. Just restore your baseline. Drink water consistently throughout the day. Deliberately bump up your fluid intake whenever you eat a high-fiber meal. Make sure you're getting plenty of potassium and magnesium from foods like potatoes, beans, and dark leafy greens. And please, don't be afraid of a little moderate sodium, especially if you're avoiding processed foods and you sweat heavily.
To sum this whole thing up, sometimes the body isn't asking for more calories, it's asking for balance. I absolutely love this takeaway because it empowers you. It means you can stop blaming your lack of discipline and start actually listening to your physiology. Once you dial in your hydration, your electrolytes, and your digestion, your appetite regulation naturally falls right back into perfect place.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to keep in mind for your very next meal. Look past those initial cravings and ask yourself, what is your body really asking for today? Is it food or is it fluid, minerals, and balance? Figure that out, and you have got the key to finally breaking right through that frustrating stall. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.